Welcome back to the final question mark episode of Triple K.O.
Sorry.
And of course, with Maximilian Dood and the man that is kicking off a stream of refunds for Capcom Fighting Collection 2, Justin Wong.
I do no such thing. This is
Justin,
not
chill.
This is not Marvel.
and
I didn't do anything.
No,
You literally have a thumbnail where you show that people are like, I'm going to refund this.
Maybe it's people are just trolling. I don't think people are serious. You know,
I think they're not serious.
Justin's saying
not
this is not
serious.
Marvel when he's actually one of the best CVS2 players on the planet.
Listen, but it's not as fast though. Like, you know, Marvel's kind of fast. Sometimes you don't know what happens.
That's a really good excuse. I agree.
CVS2 is a bit slower.
You're right.
So you get a chance to press buttons a bit more.
Yeah.
You know, it's different.
It is. He's right.
They should use that quote from Justin for like the Marvel versus Capcom collection. It's really fast. Sometimes you don't know what happens. I want that quote as like a back of the box.
We need to have the true intention of Justin Wong, quote unquote. I like people to think they have a chance.
No. I felt like I had a blast playing last night. That was really fun.
Should we just start? Because I've been inundated with Capcom Fighting Collection 2. And
let's just start then.
You know, you played a whole bunch of it pre-release, right, Matt? Because you had the review.
Online there wasn't much going on. There wasn't a lot of people available. There's I had maybe 3 matches with someone I didn't know, but just playing through the main games, just checking all the features, and I put out a little review, and it feels real good that any of these games, you could have just thrown a dart at 3 of them, and I've been like, that's worthy of a collection right there. And the fact that it's these particular 8, well, except maybe one.
No. Capcom Fighting Evolution.
You're switching over, you're now a CV.
No. I think we're all emphatically on the fuck the fighting jam.
Yeah,
list.
I'm not about the dinosaurs.
Sorry,
the squids.
I went into it and I'm like, look at this soulless piece of shit game.
It is soulless. If you can make 2D pixel art soulless, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
You look at these backgrounds, you look at these whatever, but I still maintain that it's even bad games need preservation too. I just think out of all of them that we know on a technical level could and should have been included, I'm not saying take away Capcom Fighting Jam, but I'm saying maybe adding just Tech Romancer makes the most sense, because that's still a Dreamcast.
That is an interesting conversation I was having with my chat last night, where I'm like, dude, what's left? Seriously, what?
Yes.
If we really wanted to dig deep, we might not get that great of a final collection if it's Tech Romancer, Rival Schools 1, Star Gladiator 1, because when those games exist and you have Plasma Sword and Project Justice, it's who gives a shit about the first ones, you know?
Yeah,
but true. You still, but that's saying don't have Darkstalkers 1 in a Darkstalkers collection.
I would agree with that if it wasn't for the fact that Darkstalkers 1 in comparison is such a different game than Night Warriors compared to Vampire Savior. In my eyes, Star Gladiator sucks.
It's
so slow. No,
compared to Plasma Sword.
Yeah,
it's right.
Plasma Sword is just that game all over again, but so much better. There's almost no reason to go back to Gladiator 1. In the same way that with Rival Schools, dude, everything about Project Justice is so much better. It is. There's very little reason to go back to the first one.
But Rival Schools has Sakura.
It does. It has Sakura, and it has the crazy ass Japanese intro and shit. It's got things I like about it, and I like PS1 style graphics too.
But here's the thing. Remember when Sega put out all those kind of random arcade games out, like Virtua Fighter 2? It's that's the one to put out really easily. Don't put out Virtua Fighter 1 where you can put out 2.
Exactly.
I love 1, but when you have everything in a collection, that implies it's the full collection.
Yeah.
And I kind of understand why people are
this is curated.
It's it definitely is curated, but out of everything that we know on a technical level, because these are all running on Dreamcast things, and having Tech Romancer there makes a lot of sense. But I think even a third collection, if you anchor it with Street Fighter EX, that's still a name that people will be Yeah, like maybe you can just have the first two.
I agree.
I don't know if the third one was running on a weird board.
It was a PS2.
Technically, like
I
EX3
never seen,
is a PS2 game.
Yeah, I never seen an arcade version. I don't think. Yeah, I never seen it before. But
there's no arcade port.
PS2 for EX3. I mean, I feel like EX3. They can have an collab with Arica and Capcom, like an EX collection, starting with Fighting Lair.
You could put
right.
I legit hope
EX1, EX2, EX3.
It's already.
I feel like that would be good.
The crossover already technically happened in Street Fighter V. We got a bunch of Fighting EX Lair costumes in that game.
That's true.
So it's like, yeah, these guys know each other and they're cool with each other now. But I would agree that like I can see that maybe being as successful as Capcom Fighting Collection 1. The EX games are a big hook for a hardcore audience, right? Like you got to be kind of a diehard Capcom fan to really have like a big love and appreciation for the EX games specifically, because they were offshoots and they did not have necessarily the best word of mouth back in the day. They were not treated with the same respect, it felt like, from fans and even
for sure,
like the devs. They're kind of very different games. But I've grown to like love them. Like so much of their music and that kind of stuff has been
half
a huge
your
influence.
channel branding is Street Fighter.
It's like literally the majority of my channel branding is because of EX Plus Alpha, right? So, and getting EX2 Plus like in a actual online functional netcode situation, that game is fucking awesome. Like it's one of the best Street Fighter games, like arguably, in terms of just how it plays, what it allows. It's super cool.
I think if you brand it Capcom Fighting Collection 3 Degenerate Edition and you put in Final Fight Revenge, you like it's Street Fighter the movie.
Okay.
Like you get like a nasty collection for me.
The rejects?
I have the most degenerate rejected game of all time that should be the headliner of another Capcom Fighting Collection if it happens. Capcom Fighting All-Stars.
I already said Street Fighter. So I said this in my quick review. I was like, wouldn't it have been cool if they were able to sneak that in there, or at least like in the museum, new footage or design documents. Yeah. I would have flipped my shit.
Or like a demo build just for like 2 characters. That's it.
Well, I mean,
I'm down.
We talked about it on the podcast. They had they took pictures of a functional build of the game that was probably close to the arcade location test before they didn't pay for its distribution, and it works. Like, they took pictures of it. It exists. So a functioning ROM out there exists someplace.
Bastards.
You gotta go in you gotta get into the vaults. You gotta be like best friends with
that's some deep cut
somebody
shit.
High up in Capcom to be like, hey, just let me just try it out, just for the one time. You know what I mean?
At Evo, Capcom hosts a side tournament, and the winner gets the board.
The one board.
The one board.
It's a Primal Rage 2 board.
You have to win. You have to win. He must win. That'd be great. But
it's also distributed with a copy of Primal Rage 2 from the arcade and the legendary Killer Instinct 2 on Super Nintendo. Here you go.
Oh, yeah.
Of things that never exist.
All the rare goodies.
The Holy Trinity. How has online been for you guys? I only had like a little bit of time because I'm also playing Doom Eternal and I'm trying to also get Fatal Fury in there, so I haven't had that much.
I also call Doom Dark Ages Doom Eternal every once in a while.
Shit!
I still do that. 2 thumbs up. It's hella good. Like I specifically played a bunch of like sweaty ass Power Stone. Like holy shit, people have been playing this shit. And Kenny's been playing a lot of Power Stone too. If there was ever any question of like, man, 3D camera fighting games don't work with rollback netcode. If there was any ever qualms of that being a problem in the past, it's gone. Like those games run beautifully online. It's crazy, dude.
How does the 4-player Power Stone ranked match happen? It's just like normal.
It's not ranked.
Get queued up with like, it's not ranked.
It's not ranked. So Power Stone's always 4 players when you play in ranked mode. But it's 2 human players with 2 AI.
Oh, okay.
It's weird. And if you want to go to player matches, you can set up a 4-player situation and you have to make a choice. By default, it's like 2 players make victory, which kind of sucks, where it's like it just waits for 2 players to remaining and both of you win. I'm like, what is this bullshit? So you have to change it to 1-player victory. So it's the final character standing. And then you can actually play traditional Dreamcast Power Stone. But it is not as feature-rich as Dreamcast Power Stone. Even though there is features from the Dreamcast version in here, you cannot choose the amount of gems or turn them off.
Oh, wow.
And that's the thing that Power Stone 1 competitive players would like do. is because gems just populate like crazy. You can either lower them or make it only 3. You know, we did that with Power Stone 2 because it's just a chase for gems constantly, and time like runs out waiting for gems. And if you don't have that, people actually have to fight each other.
Yeah,
that's weird. That rank is like that. Yeah,
it's a little odd, weird. But it works. You know, and 4-player, I played it. It works great.
That's still a fundamental reason why I prefer 1 over 2, because 2 just really easily devolves into chase for gems.
Bro,
you don't engage with the other fighters as much.
Yeah. I played fun, 1, obviously. And I'm like, I like Power Stone 1 more because it has like an extra attack button and like more mechanics and a traditional dive kick and all this like fun shit. And they take that away in 2, but 2 has 4 players. But my dude, like Power Stone 1 is so much faster. Like. When I play them next to each other and I fired up 2, I'm like, dude, my movement is so slow. Like everything is so much slower in Power Stone 2 than it is to 1. 1 feels like a very like cushy 1v1 arena fighter. And Power Stone 2 is very much like a really fun, possibly better game, but a party game, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, like in terms of all of its features and stuff, there's like a lot there.
And it's 4 players, right? But Power Stone 1, exactly, I think I just read it on social. It's like, if you want to play a fighting game, play Power Stone 1. If you want to play a party game, play Power Stone 2.
Guile said that. Quote said that.
You saw that, Guile?
I've been saying that shit since like the early 2000s. We're like, Power Stone 2 is good, but it's no Power Stone 1, you know?
Yeah.
But then again, it's like I prefer the announcer. I like the intro a lot more. I like the framing of like they're in this castle and they have to go through like
the fact that the stages are dynamic and shit. There's a lot of really incredibly cool shit. So much of that game is designed around 4 players are going to have a lot of fun here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they do anything future with the franchise, but it's like if you could just marry like a lot of the system mechanics and presentation together of both games, like you get something like super sick.
Power Stone is literally the most perfect game for a $20 to $30 title. It's the most perfect game for that shit, where it's just like smaller budget, like meager budget, Mega Man 11 style budget, and just make a game that doesn't look like, you know, RE Engine. It doesn't need to look that way. Dude, just make it fun, make it this on the same scale as like a Ghosts and Goblins. Like, can we actually get a Capcom fighting game that is on that scale of like those Capcom releases that happened for a couple years there? I would love it.
Yeah. And even like Rival Schools, I wouldn't mind that.
Same shit.
Be lower scale because 100%. It's like this doesn't have a lot of name recognition as much as Street Fighter, so you know, like,
just for fans,
develop appropriately.
In the same way, like old Capcom games,
Rival Schools.
They're cool with it selling like 100,000, 200,000, maybe 300,000 copies if they're lucky. It's like, it doesn't need to sell millions, dude. Just let it rock.
Yeah. I forgot about this. It's like, why exclude the first version of Capcom versus SNK 1? Why not just have that as another version selectable?
Yeah,
like true. In the title update for Marvel.
So you mean the one that's not Pro?
Yeah. The arcade CVS 1, the original CVS 1, before they added Dan and Joe.
Yeah, and because CVS, I didn't play CVS 1 Pro on this one, but from my remembering, Pro has the free groove selection. So you can actually assign like characters to have a groove, or I'm sorry, a ratio, free ratio.
Free ratio.
So if you want to choose Bison to be a level 4, he can be a level 4, or you can make him a level 1.
I haven't booted up CVS 1 Pro on the collection, but I know that was like that for the Dreamcast version of CVS 1 Pro. But like, I don't know if this CVS 1 Pro has that ability to do like ratio for Bison or ratio for like any character or whatever. Because I'm not sure. Because I think that's like like console-ish.
For those that didn't play CVS 1, that's my only thing I'm thinking is that CVS 1 was a well-received game when it first came out, but ended up not being particularly liked because of how limiting the ratio system was on characters. Where like Ken or Ryu, some characters were just level 1s and you couldn't do anything, and some characters were just level 4s. You had to like have a stifled team. And then from what I remember, they changed it in Pro. And they let you like pick, which was cool, and that became like the big theme of CVS2, which is the free ratio system.
Yeah.
So
they changed it for the console version, but
I'm wondering if
I'm not sure if the collection's like that.
Yeah. So if anything, it's like I can understand why they wouldn't put CVS1 on there, like the original one, because there was a lot of like qualms with that version of the game.
Yeah, but I still thought it was curious given that the title update for Marvel like added the other versions of X-Men.
Oh yeah, that's true. Like, why don't you have two versions, right? Is what you're saying.
But there's almost like precedence for it.
Saying
it like I use this example of just like some people were talking about EO and base CVS2, and like nobody played EO, so it's like we're discovering things about it now that we forgot that were on the Xbox and GameCube version, like back in the day. But it would be like putting in the updated like Alpha 2 Gold, and nobody that plays Alpha 2 wants to play like Alpha 2 Gold, dude. They want to play like vanilla Alpha 2. Like,
well, yeah. I mean, we're in a situation where Alpha 3 Upper is that game.
It's true.
Where people are like, bro, nobody wants to play Alpha 3 Upper.
But they gave us the previous Alpha 3 in the previous collection, or one of the previous collections.
Yeah, that was the 30th anniversary, but it's just that was before they had the better netcode now.
I see something.
Like the netcode was pretty bad in Alpha 3 in the 30th anniversary Alpha 3.
It was just Alpha 3 with like a few characters unlocked, was it not?
It's just arcade Alpha 3. Yeah, it was just arcade Alpha 3.
I think you're right.
You have to do the secret characters of June and Julie. You have to like, do it manually how you do it in arcade.
Yeah.
But like Alpha 3 Upper has all the characters plus like, DJ Guile, like the new challengers and everything. But it's just like it's such a nerfed version from original arcade Alpha 3 from what people like to play versus to this one.
So is that why they have a crouch cancel option in Alpha 3 Upper? Because I thought that the first Capcom Fighting Collection had Alpha 3 in it. They've released Alpha 3, by the way, outside of like 30th anniversary in some like Capcom
like the arcade stadium or whatever.
Yeah, like something like that. They have released Alpha 3, but in a fighting collection with like really good online, it hasn't happened yet. So you're right. This is the first time Alpha 3 is being redistributed, which is why I'm like, why would they put crouch cancel in the updated version? It's because they're trying to appease the fans that want OG Alpha 3.
Yeah, but the problem is that even if you have crouch cancel, it's still not OG Alpha 3. Because like there's like random character balance changes and everything.
Sure.
So it's a little bit different. I've seen a lot of clips today of like people trying the new characters that are in Alpha 3 Upper, like T-Hawk, Guile, and everything, and it just doesn't work. Like they don't work properly. Like the QA testing from back in the day was so bad that like if you're crouching against these characters, all their standing normals whiff against the characters that they're
so
crouching.
They're just shit.
Yeah, and then I think Kyo Kuji, he did 720 like with T-Hawk right in front of the character's face, and it just missed the opponent.
Yeah,
so
they're just
underbaked.
Just like,
they were just these are pretty much beta characters at this point. Like they were not tested to work in Alpha 3. They just added them in there from like they probably just took the code from like Game Boy Advance Alpha ST. Or something.
Some weird
and then
shit.
Put them in the game. Yeah, and that's kind of what happened. That's what I'm seeing right now on Twitter. I'm like, man, that's kind of unfortunate, I would say.
Yeah, that is rough. Yeah, I thought Alpha 3 had been given a traditional release and version, but I guess they're counting that, hey, we gave Alpha 3, in the 30th anniversary collection. Alpha 3 was online and shit. And do you remember the drama behind the 30th anniversary collection? It was like, why the fuck is Alpha 3 online and not Alpha 2?
Yes. It was like
we've already been through this.
16 games. Yeah, they had 16 games and only 4 games were online.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, they could do another collection where they put those games that were not online into online or maybe redistribute it because, I mean, everyone's been talking about, okay, the online's so good from the last few collections. Can we get Third Strike back? Because online for Third Strike is terrible. You know what I mean?
We're getting close to Street Fighter 40th anniversary, as the hairs on my head fall off. So I'm just saying we're almost 10 years away from the last distribution of Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. So maybe, just maybe, there's another opportunity for Third Strike to come back big in some way.
Okay. No, I agree. I mean, that'd be nice.
Or just a collection with like everything. Like you look at Alpha Anthology on the PS2, that had like everything that you could want for the Alpha series.
And Hyper
like, that
Alpha.
had upper. That had on the USA version that had upper.
Yeah,
like
it did.
It was just there. Like it didn't. Max wasn't out yet.
No. Alpha 3 Max was not a thing yet, so it doesn't have. That version of the game is literally only on PSP, and like the problem with that version of the game, where it's like people are like, just put that on, a collection, and I'm like, dude, it doesn't have traditional versus mode. Like they have to go back into the code and functionality and make it work. That shit works over ad hoc.
Because I was hoping that the boss characters like Orochi Iori and Evil Ryu are not in the arcade version. Like they were put in the console versions only.
And now they're in this collection.
Yeah. So I was hoping, it's like hoping against hope. It's like, can you just get that PSP code and just take those characters and put them in? Like, dude, I don't think it's
as
functionally
soon as we
possible,
saw,
but
what was it? Soul Calibur Broken Destiny come out a couple of years ago. And it was like, oh, the Kratos Soul Calibur's coming back and we can play it. Amazing. And then you play it and you can't even play a second player because technically you'd have to get into the PSP code and reverse engineer the whole fucking game to make it actually allow for a second player input buffer, because that doesn't even exist. Like it's a daunting amount of work where it's like at any point anybody in development is like, nah, like we're not doing that. Point. Sorry. So you'd be able to play Alpha 3, Max, but it would be like single player only.
I love that it's called Double Upper.
Double Upper.
That's the best. Like Max is like, fine, I get what it's going for, but Double Upper is like so much cooler. It does suck that the art from Double Upper is used as a border in Upper, so you see Maki on the side and she's not in the game.
Yeah.
Damn, the struggle's real, huh?
Straight through my heart. But yeah, before we wrap on this, any other thoughts, feelings on Capcom Fighting Collection 2?
Yeah, obviously, like most people will probably be playing CVS2 in this collection. Do you guys enjoy the fact that boss characters are allowed on rank?
They are? I didn't realize that.
So you could pick Shinokuma, God Rugao, Orochi Iori, Evil Ryu on rank.
That's very... Wait, Evil Ken and all that was in ranked on...
that's Ultra Street Fighter 2 and SVC.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
In Ultra, they were normal characters.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay.
So to me, to be real, Justin, the rank situation of CVS2 is already compromised. Like, it already is, dude.
Yeah,
so
that's
by
true.
Justin.
You're right. No, because of EO.
I think the secret characters should be...
I know.
The default setting in rank for secret characters should be off, and then you just play with them in player matches and shit. Yes, I feel it should be that way, the same way that the EO version should be available in player matches, and the normal game should be the ranked one.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree. It kind of makes me sad because, like, I mean, I'm still having fun because I think they're using this as like, the original Xbox did so well with EO. No. That's why.
So it's done out of respect.
No.
Right? From the developer's perspective, they're not following where the competitive communities go. It's the same shit that happened with X-Men versus Street Fighter. They didn't change X-Men versus Street Fighter when they added all the other versions. They didn't change the ranked version of that game to be the one that everybody actually plays. True. They didn't do that.
Yeah.
They just let you play it in player matches. It's also a Japanese thing where it's like, we put effort into this and we updated our game. We changed things the way the directors intended the game to be, even though that does not line up with where the community eventually goes. It's somewhat disrespectful that like, oh, we don't consider that one the main one, to the people that originally made the game.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But the thing is, if you looked at how, like, before this collection even was a thought or anything, anytime you saw a CVS2 event in Japan or around the world,
it ain't running on EO.
Like, it was never on
100%.
Right? So it's just, that's the only sad part because, because I think a lot of the hardcore people they said something really good. It's like, okay, everyone that's playing right now, they're probably like all super casual, but what about like 3 months down the road?
Oh yeah,
or like a few months down the road.
It's an old fighting game. There's going to be a graveyard.
It's going to be player matches for custom rooms for the most part, right? Because all the the hardcore CVS2 players that have been playing before this collection came out for the last 10, 15 years, they're going to be the only ones playing online at this point. It's
true.
Right? Yeah.
And that was our argument, which is like, this ranked mode is really for the OG CVS heads so that they can grind out Warlord against each other and shit, you know? Yeah. We're watching it happen right now in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, where like literally you could just find a ton of channels of the people that play Marvel 2. They've all converted to the Marvel collection, and they're all just battling it out for like 1 million player points, you know? Yeah. So the CVS guys don't get that, which is unfortunate. So yes, I completely agree with you. We're having fun with P-Groove and shit, and it's fun to discover new shit in CVS 2. It's fun. But at the same point, it's like, it really sucks if you're an old school CVS head and you're still into that shit. It's kind of like a big, like, we don't, that you're not our target audience. It's like, oh, that hurts, man. So I hope it changes.
Yeah. For people that are like listening, they're like, well, I don't see the big deal about it. But it's like, imagine if the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 collection came out and they didn't use the current port. They used like an Xbox, the original Xbox port or a PS2 port. That's like that Marvel 2. You don't want to play that version of Marvel 2.
That'd be sick, though, if some tournament did that.
I got a way that'll make any audience member listening to this understand where we're coming from. Nintendo is like, hey, we're bringing back Smash Brothers Melee. We're going to put it on Nintendo Switch 2. It's going to have rollback netcode.
Okay.
Good luck. And then you play it, and everything's off and weird because it's the updated version that was like the limited Euro version or something like that. There was a version of Smash Melee that was updated that nobody plays because it actually like changed a whole bunch of shit in the game and like nerfed some things that were like movement. And from what I understand, that exists. Nobody would be happy.
Nobody would be happy.
People would be pissed.
That's like the PlayStation Classic where they used a bunch of European versions of the games that ran at like
fucking Euro Tekken 3 running at 50 FPS and shit. Like, what is this trash?
Whoever decided that is like, that guy's awesome because no one has more no one has more balls and like ignorance than that guy. Like, it's almost impressive.
Motherfucker went to romulation.com, typed search with the game, and just picked the first
Tekken
one.
3. All right, so speaking of some bad news, we do have to touch on news before we stroll down memory lane of TKO. Max called it. As soon as Mortal Kombat announced a definitive edition or anything of the sort, you can probably sort of say that the game is done. So just a few days ago, Mortal Kombat 1 Definitive Edition, which I don't like as a name because it's too generic. I wanted some Mortal Kombat-y name, you know?
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate was
K like Complete would have been better.
Thank you. That would have been so much better. But this compiles all the DLC, the Chaos Reigns expansion, and will include the movie skins, which we didn't hear about for a while. And much like Mortal Kombat 11, movie skins were the very last piece of content that they added to that game. And that seems to be what they're doing here. And even though Ed Boon or no one has really clarified that this is the end, and it might not be, it probably is. So what are we thinking about this?
Sad.
Not a lot. Sad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad. I am excited to see what they do next, but my dude, if they're just having to jump into another MK again, like I almost hope it's Injustice, even though I don't want it to be Injustice, but I almost hope that they get a break and they can have a different approach to an Injustice than just what Injustice 1 and 2 were. I would love that, like, to make a different game. But I actually feel bad for like everybody at NRS because Ed isn't lying when he initially says our plan is to support this game for longer, you know? It's not his choice.
His plan.
Yeah, that is the plan. That is the plan at the time. It's not their choice. Like, it's the publisher's choice. WB makes those calls, you know? And they clearly made a call after Chaos Reigns came out, whatever, and it didn't sell particularly well. That they're like, X-nay this shit, we have to make another one. We have to start from scratch, you know? So like these dudes are 3 games in a row now, like nearly the past like 8 years or something, working only on MK. So I feel kind of bad for NRS because I'll be real, dude, the whole game of MK1, not nearly as good as MK11, not nearly as good as Injustice 2. Those games are better overall packages of games. But in terms of gameplay, MK1 right now is so much better than Injustice 2 and MK11. It's so much better. It's like actually one of their best like fighting games they made since like MKX. So
because in like the last 6 months, you've been like for anyone that doesn't remember, Max has been like playing every single character that's come out, and it's been
fucking
like
fun.
Every single character is getting better and better.
Yeah. They actually like cameos have changed sort of for the most part, like how they're utilized and what ways they're utilized. And it still feels clunky. Don't get me wrong. It still feels cumbersome. That's always going to be a disadvantage of it. But dude, it's fun now. Like this is actually a legit good MK game. So still got problems. Combos are still way too long. Attacks are still way too slow. Attack strings for most characters. Like all the issues at launch still reside. But it bums me out that the game is finally finding its stride. It's finally like there. And they really got some of the best characters NRS has ever made. And it's done.
That is unfortunate.
It's similar, but not dissimilar to Street Fighter V, where it ran its course. It was around for like 7 years, right?
Yeah.
But the last season was such a whoa. They have new people working on it, or they've been
last 2 seasons really like
upgraded in their ability to make decisions and stuff. And the last couple of characters were like, wow, this is really cool. And they're doing new system mechanics. But at least that was at the end of like a full life of a game. Where this is getting such a truncated life of like, 2 years.
Year and a half, pretty much.
Yeah, a year and a half. That's like crazy.
It's pretty much back to the same life cycle of pre MK11, you know?
Yeah.
Where MK9 to Injustice to MKX, MKX to Injustice 2, Injustice 2 to MK11, they're about a year and a half in between and about 2 years in between each game's release.
That's like the PS2.
That's so fast.
It's so dude. They were 5 games in 10 years. They were fucking cranking, bro. So that's what we're back to now. But the question is like, will the next game be like a 2026 release? Because this game was a 2023 release. I don't think so. I don't know, man.
No.
I think we're gonna have to wait a while for the next MK to be a thing. So they have to pick up the pieces from this and like figure out what the hell to do. But I really want to make a video because all the negativity that's around it. Yeah, I get it. The game has deserved its criticism the entirety of the time it's been around. But there is shit to learn from this that they actually did well that I think needs to be highlighted and talked about, because some of the things in this game are super cool. And if they just ignore everything, that sucks, because there is some shit that is great.
Yeah, absolutely. Even though I haven't touched those DLC characters, I don't think Justin has either. It's just like, I could tell just by watching like your Conan or like T1000 gameplay. And I was like, yeah, I'm excited watching this because the characters actually are doing cool shit. Like are full-fledged characters, you know? And it was the characters we were shitting on the most. We're like, yeah, I don't know about these.
It was the ones that sounded the dumbest, and they actually are like the coolest. Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of things coming back, we do have to move right along. Ganondorf has been announced for Virtua Fighter new project.
Ganondorf.
So listen, Wolf Hawkfield being announced for Virtua Fighter. He's my favorite Virtua Fighter character. Max, I think you might agree with this. This video has done more for characterization for a Virtua Fighter character than pretty much anything SNK has ever put out there.
In VF history for the most part, you know?
The amount of lore and story progression that this wrestling announcer says that Wolf has retired. He's turned heel. He's joined a group called the Pack, and now he's going solo. And just seeing Wolf like have facial expressions and doing shit and new sound effects,
and to actually be an updated character design, to not have his big blue pants.
And he looks cool again, just going into wrestling a bit more than Zero, because when he's in a Virtua Fighter tournament, wrestling doesn't really matter, except that it's the ultimate sport that he tells you, but you'll never see it because there's no anything about Wolf or whatever. So this got he doesn't even throw a single fucking punch or throw or giant swing at anybody. I got super hyped from this. The Virtua Fighter Direct, there wasn't a whole lot there, but
there wasn't.
There is at least this Revo coming out on different consoles. So
that's amazing.
Even though we're very, very, very far away from that game probably releasing, I'm very excited for Virtua Fighter futures.
Again, I loved it, and it's nice to see a VF characters with personality, because to me, like the Virtua Fighter character that has the most personality is Go, you know? and you really get everything about this dude from like his character, right? So I can't wait to see what they do with Go nowadays with like a trailer like that. But as much as I liked it,
Havoc.
as much as I liked it, I don't necessarily agree with like small teasery character reveals before we've seen legit gameplay. Like,
I agree.
I want you to blow my ass off with how this game looks, so now I can imagine what this teaser of Wolf will look like in an adjacent gameplay. Oh God, is he going to literally throw people through windows and shit? Like, I want to. That's where my imagination can rock. To me, I hope they sort of don't do character teasers. Here's Sarah, and she blinks, you know, and she moves around and shit, and she's happy to be here. Like, whatever. I want to see gameplay first, and then we can start thinking about characters and then injecting them into the game. So I hope we see gameplay soon is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong, but at the same time, if they're already going down this route of like character teasers, are they just going to have a big gameplay video in 6 months' time? That seems also weird, but
yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's possible, but I think they're also making sure that they push Revel like a lot. Like at Evo Japan,
they're still there.
There were so many people there for VF. I think every time, like they had a Sega booth there, and literally the whole day it was just like, play each other in Revo and on the stage, and if you win, you get a free shirt. And the only VF's like Virtual Fighter, like new Virtual Fighter 6 thing that they had was like literally behind the booth, and you just see Akira doing this like his shoulder, and then that was it. But everything else was just related to VF5, and then even next week, Combo Breaker, they have I think a $10,000 VF5 tournament. Saying it's going to have a booth there as well. So maybe they might do another character because it was like the same timing, or doing another teaser, or possibly, who knows. But they're really pushing Revel like a lot.
This is starting to push a little bit too much teaser for me, because it's like, my dude, we saw this 6 months ago. Are we going to be still being teased like at the next? Are we going to finally get an actual gameplay trailer at the next Game Awards? Like, I don't want to go a year and a half marketing cycle until we finally get the new VF. It's like, that's just too much. It's too elongated, you know?
Like, it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be a big gameplay blowout, but like it has to, like, have a final name and show like a snippet with like new footage or whatever.
We don't even know what this bitch ass game is called yet.
Yeah, it's called Virtua Fighter Project. At this point, I think just best to just call it Virtua Fighter.
100%. Jesus Christ! I was going back and we were watching Soul Calibur 6 footage from Evo Japan, and it was fucking amazing. And everyone's like, this game is fucking amazing. Why is it so cool in tournament? Like, I know it's like one of the best Soul Caliburs to watch, and people are like, why did it do bad? And then I get into the dark pit of why did Soul Calibur 6 fail, and it ultimately boils down to, in my opinion, the fucking marketing. People were not ready to buy a 6 after 5, and granted the visuals and everything, but I genuinely disagreed with how Soul Calibur 6 was like distributed to people. It should have been it was already thematically a rebooted Soul Calibur with Soul Calibur 1 designs all over the place and shit. And they put a V and an I in there, and it's like, can we not, dude? Like, could we have just like rebooted the series here? That would have made way more sense.
And no Link too. So
that shit too. So it needs to be VF. It needs to just be Virtua Fighter. It's been plenty of time. People were born since that happened and became fans of plenty of things. They can be introduced to a new franchise, you know?
Or like even just a subtitle. Just don't call it 6. You know, like a subtitle like new era or whatever.
I'm even down for it should just be Virtua Fighter. Like, like that already invokes emotions when you think of like no history. It's like, what is that? What is are we fighting virtually? Huh?
Virtua Fighter virtuosity.
We're playing online. That's what we're doing.
Justin has a big wrestling mark. How did you like Wolf's trailer?
I thought he was really cool. The crazy part was I think they showed it at Evo Japan, but not stream. It was like on the show floor, but I didn't see it until like they made this video where they show it to everybody else. But I thought it's really cool just because like you said, you don't really see the emotion in a lot of Virtua Fighter from past games. So the fact that they have more emotion already, that's going to be pretty huge, because I'm a big wrestling fan now, but I'm more curious about the other characters, because I also like Pi a lot. I like Sarah a lot. I'm trying to see these waifus come out with these trailers as
Wolf
well.
is a waifu too.
Dude,
don't get it twisted.
Wolf is a waifu?
Imagine with all the new like face shit and like visuals of characters and stuff, where Wolf Hawkfield is about to like do some crazy ass thing to you, where he's like jumping in the air and he's about to body slam you or some shit, or he's about to like do the spin throw, and you literally zoom in on his face and he's like, ah, like throw the bitch.
Yeah,
like you can make those moments now, KO, as they fly through a door or some shit.
Listen, I just want them to hire like wrestlers to do the motion captures. Like hire Kenny Omega do motion captures for Wolf Hawkfield, and I think
have Kenny dress up as Wolf for a special promotional match.
Okay,
that'd be great.
Okay,
they already did that back in the day. They had a New Japan wrestler, I think, dress up as Wolf or something like that. Like
did they?
For like because Wolf and Jeffrey were added to a wrestling game for the Saturn. They were like special. Okay. It was like Sega Wrestling or something.
So this is a long time.
Yeah. This was like 97 or something.
I mean, New Japan does all that type of stuff. I mean, they had Rock and Terry like last month, right, from New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Do you want to know some crazy history with wrestling and Virtua Fighter? I just had to Google it in case my brain fails me because of streamer brain. And I did remember correctly. Asuka tweeted about like the wrestler Asuka, right? She tweeted earlier. That she was one of the Virtua Fighter 5 motion actors.
Oh, yeah, so, like she did Vanessa.
Okay. She did like Vanessa and some other characters and stuff. So already Virtua Fighter has a history of like having, I don't at the time, I don't think she was a WWE superstar, but like using actual wrestlers to mocap moves and shit.
That's sick. Okay.
I'd have to imagine they'll do something similar. So Virtua Fighter seems like it has a bright future. Maybe not so bright right now looking at Tekken 8 Season 2. Because when I looked up Tekken 8 Season 2 trailer, like, Evo Japan trailer, whatever, because I'm like going on YouTube, I'm like, okay, where is it? I look, and the first thing that pops up is reaction video of everyone groaning.
At Fakamram.
And not being happy with the Fakuram and the Pac-Man stage and all this stuff
Karate
that
Kid
they're trying to sell you. Oh man.
Yeah. Even at Evo Japan, there was no pop. Like literally, like,
the anti-pop.
A new character will come out. I was like, oh, right. There was none of that, and like it was just so dead. It was so quiet, like after all these trailers are happening. And I'm just like, man, like I don't really care about this character. Okay, Pac-Man's kind of cute, whatever, sure. And then I'm like, that's so random that they have the Karate Kid as a collaboration.
It is weird. It's just a lot of
super random. It was a lot of just like nothing that people wanted. But then I guess their Michael Murray's Harada's like thing, like their speech was like saying, yeah, for all the people that are looking for new content, here we go. And it's just like, yeah,
the reveal
that's not the content that we're looking for. I think is what people think.
Well, they're pretty much talking about like the casual fan base who actually pays the bills and shit.
Yeah,
because to be real, they did announce what was it, like almost like cyberpunk costumes for a lot of the characters, and they are very cool looking. And everybody that I have seen play Tekken 8 since Season 2 has purchased those costumes, and everyone they're fighting has also been wearing those costumes. So that shit is definitely selling. The craziest thing that happened was like, dude, the way Harada and Mike Murray were on stage, like talking about like post Season 2 Fallout and stuff like that was like pretty humbling. And what Harada said, what happened with Season 2 was also super interesting and kind of lines up exactly with what we thought was happening.
Which is like basically a whole other team were doing the balancing of it.
Oh, you heard it.
And and it didn't turn out the way they obviously wanted. So it seems like they're hiring a new bunch or bringing in the older team.
The Tekken 7 team.
Tekken 7 to Tekken Tag 2 team. So those guys pretty much made Tekken 8 is what it sounds like, the foundation of it, and then built upon it and then refined it over like pre-release to Season 1, which it was getting like much better. And then they brought in like a new team, a new like gameplay team to continue that work and, to sort of like allow these guys to go do something else. And it did not work out. And they kind of went crazy, didn't have a foundational understanding, lack of communication. This is the fault of Harada and the director, and they admitted it. But they straight admitted that we have to go back to the original way we were doing it, which is to bring back the people that have historically been doing this. And seems like they're never going to get to leave Tekken, dude. So it's kind of like a sad thing that this was relatively mismanaged and it worked out this way. But already, and people that like Tekken 8, that want to like Tekken 8, the latest balance gameplay updates have made the game much better. It's not there yet,
okay,
but it is like inching towards a direction that is like relatively positive and healthy, and the game's looking not as horribly degenerate.
Yeah.
I think also, Max, you could probably agree to this specifically because I think we've all discussed this and you've probably made videos about this. Fakuram being the character to be added now is something that was decided months, if not like a year ago or more. Years ago or more. Much like bad box art Mega Man being announced for Cross Tekken.
Right when they canceled Legends.
The timing is not on their side, but they can't switch characters out and put a new character in a slot, that type thing.
Yeah.
So that's what it comes down to. People's reactions are genuine and they're vitriolic, but they can't be helped because this was the plan for years.
And this character has been decided and in the works since like before the game is out. So there's just no way to change that. They've been working on this for like a year.
Yeah, like it's really rare where anyone can ever pivot from the direction they're doing when these things are decided months, if not years.
Was he popular in Tekken 7 like after he got like normalized?
I'd imagine not.
Yeah, like I just remember he was when he was like top tier, he was, or broken for the time being, he was super popular, but then after normalized, I felt like I'd never seen him ever again.
Yeah.
I think on a casual level, like there's this sort of like pushing of him in Tekken 7 where it's like, look at this badass. He's so cool, isn't he? And when you start doing that too much, you start Roman Reignsing him where it's like, love him. Look how badass he is. And people don't take to it.
Instead of naturally falling in love, they want you to fall in love with them.
Exactly.
The other issue with Fakuram in general is that he is the antithesis of like old school Tekken. Like he is not Bruce. He is a completely different thing than Bruce is.
No, that's just kind of pretty unfortunate with how Tekken's currently turned out. And yeah, I mean, people probably will want Bruce any day over Fakuram, right?
And they're not going to get the Waffle House stage either. If the Waffle House stage dropped in like the next month, like people would be like, "No, man, Tekken 8, it's the best."
If that was the announcement at Evo Japan, everyone on the internet would have been like, "Okay, we forgive you," even though Japan's probably like, "I don't know what this is," but everyone, the rest of the world would have forgiven you.
Imagine though at Evo, like Evo Las Vegas, imagine it gets announced there. Now, unfortunately, what I'm referencing is the fact that Harada said I spoke to Waffle House. Yeah. And I never got a response back. But didn't he say somewhere mixed in there? He's like, but we might try to make a stage that's similar.
Yeah, like the Pancake Hut or some shit.
Yeah. Tekken House.
Waffle House would have been perfect. I would have took Waffle House over Pac-Man stage any day of the week.
Any day. Like, I love Pac-Man, but like, I don't like Pac-Man and Tekken together. I know they're all Namco, but it's like I don't get that. Like they don't mix.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. You know, that's just what. Yeah. I mean, doesn't Elisa have a Pac-Man head as well too as an accessory?
They have like a Pac-Man head costume item for everybody.
And our last news story, I think we'll all agree, is very appropriate for Triple K.O. Killer Instinct Gold has been added to Nintendo Switch Online. There's only one more Killer Instinct game that is not available, which is the Game Boy version, which is still a goated version that shouldn't be as good as it is. But that's finally there. It's like, just put KI 2013 on the Switch too, please.
We're going to do everything we can, but not that.
But you could. You guys are working together.
Yeah, you could.
You definitely could.
Anyway.
And it's good news. It's great. It's like they made a cool trailer for it too.
A lot of work in that trailer.
A lot of like effort and love put into that stuff, and people reacted big to it.
Bootycopter shows up in that trailer.
Yeah, it's true. It actually is true. And then they have like the cool Tusk fatality and shit, and it's like, man, isn't this wonderful? I still have to play it. I have to see how the online is, but you know, it is nice to see people still getting excited about KI in some way.
So it's out now.
It's out on the 16th. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, so that's today.
It's out now.
Yeah. Yeah. So I couldn't believe it. I had people like tagging me and Max, just going, "It's KI is happening." It's the most KI thing that's happened in like what, last year or two, ever since
ever since they had KI again on NSO from the Super Nintendo version.
Yeah,
where that was like, hey, you can play old KI online. It's like, yeah, cool. There is other KI news that I need to talk about this version and this other news. There is a guy by the name of Rich Whitehouse, and he has like reverse engineered like an emulation of classic Killer Instinct, which is and with enhanced audio and all of this crazy shit that is running on like a self-contained emulator that makes the game run and look really good. It's got rollback netcode.
Remastered it basically.
It's got a bunch of functionality. It's called Big Instinct, and it's for KI 1 and 2 arcade. And I've already had some conversations with him about things that could make those versions of the game like even better. So yeah, like hopefully that's a thing that maybe eventually leads to things. Who knows? But I just want to enable him to make like that package as cool as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was looking into that the other day, and I was like, oh, let me try this. But it's like right now, I think the whole installing process is a little involved. Like, yeah, you have to do some things to get it working. So
especially with netcode, like it's a tough.
Yes. Yeah. But, you know, like even though there's official KI remasters, you can't really get them anymore, right? You can only get them in the definitive edition.
Correct. Yeah. They're only available in like the Xbox version collections that you need an Xbox One to play KI 1 and 2.
Still pretty cool. I suppose in the future there might be more KI news, in which case always have us in your thoughts if you hear KI news. But I think for our last little chunk, me and Max and Justin were talking about, why don't we take a stroll down memory lane? So we'll be looking at the list of all the episodes we've done in the past and maybe wax poetic, maybe give you some behind the scenes factoids, and I'll start us off by saying our very first episode is an episode that you've never seen.
Yeah.
I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but I will. I believe Justin's audio is unlistenable. Like, I don't think it barely recorded or anything. But we had an episode just talking about, what was it, just our favorite fighting games?
Favorite fighter.
Favorite fighter.
You guys remember this shit? I have streamer brain, bro. Like
3 years ago. This is
a long time ago.
So we basically re-recorded the whole thing, and we were like, it still turned out well, but I remember us just like all the synapses were cracking off. We're all like, oh, have all this energy and stuff. And then it's happened to all of us. You record a video, and then every so often it just didn't record, and you just kind of shake your head and go, yep, that's this job sometimes. But it was a precious memory of the first episode actually being lost to time, unfortunately.
that was a good one. I think it happened a few times, right?
Every once in a while.
I don't.
Yeah, there was like some.
If it actually did,
because I think there was like a crash before. But
I don't think we fully lost an episode.
Okay, yeah,
I remember we had a guest. I think it was Ben and Rudy that was talking to us about beat 'em ups and stuff, and he lost his video, but we just put up a picture or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. And to sort of reiterate why we were even having the concept of doing a Triple KO is because this show started before Street Fighter 6 was even out. Right? Before it was even announced. Before it was even announced. It was actually announced within a short few weeks. Was the first teaser in 2022. So there was a reason behind that. And the reason was there wasn't a lot of fighting game news. there wasn't a lot of stuff to populate
many.
what happens in the year or the 6 months in between fighting game releases. Like for a while, one of the most important games that released in that period of time was like DNF Duel, you know? And it was like, that was the big fighting game of that year or something like that, you know? Where
that was coming out. That was announced to be a thing.
Exactly.
Like coming out later that year. Because I think all the rest of every single game just had DLC coming out for it. Like
correct. It was just, we were in the post-launch scenario. Games are just, we're getting Tekken 7 updates. We're getting, you know, Street Fighter 5 updates, like that kind of stuff. So, and even at the time, MK11 was like on its way out. You know, to a certain degree, we were sort of hoping on the next NRS game and shit. But still, like this happens in the world of content creation, just in general. You have to get kind of creative. When nothing's going down around the thing that you like the most, you got to start really like digging deep and finding something that can always be evergreen, something that you can always like go back and check out, and will always be fun to like, you know, watch Matt explain how something burned into the ground and what the hell happened to it. It burned very brightly. Like type of stories and stuff, and visiting older fighting game stuff that everybody loves, you know? And for us on Triple KO, it's sort of the best represented in our first few episodes, where we talk about like our favorite fighting games, we talk about general franchise stuff, we talk about guest characters, we talk about this, we talk about like these individual ideas and concepts that pretty much fill out the first 6 months of the show, until like, oh, there's a lot of shit coming out. Oh,
there's even more shit coming out.
More shit coming out.
And it's still coming out.
And it's still coming out. And then at that point, the show had effectively shifted to like an update and reaction and news-based show, because like we had covered the majority of topics and things we wanted to talk about, like generally for fighting games, to the point where there was so much goddamn news. We were going to so many places and doing so many things that we had to recap what happened and what's going on, you know? So it's crazy to see in the past like 3 years how much the landscape has actually changed.
Yeah, like because I remember like in the last like 6 months or something, we put out an episode based on artwork. That's Guile Winco joined us for that, and we put that out because we had talked about doing that episode for a while, but we had to squeeze that in between all the news stuff, and even then it's like the episode after that, then we have to play catch up with like possibly old news that like, you know, is a couple of weeks old at that point. So that's like why those episodes kind of just started, you know, being less and less. Like occasionally we'll have, like we had Babe Ruthless on for talking about stages. Like that was really fun, but it was hard to like, the couple times we brought in like a guest just to talk about news, Guile Winco is our go-to. He's the fourth official member.
He's the emergency. He's the one that's like, oh man, somebody's gone, somebody's sick. Yo, Guile Winco, buddy, yo, pal, can you come through?
Because he keeps up with pretty much a bit of everything, right? And not everyone does. Like for example, when we had Hell Pockets on, like some of the Capcom stuff, he's like, you know, great guest, but at the same time, he's like, yeah, I don't have that much of opinion on this. Like I'm more of an SNK guy. So it's like, anytime we try to do any of those episodes, it's like, oh, we have to get back on the news, because there's so much news happening all the time, every time, you know?
It is funny with perspective is that we, in the process of doing this show, we lamented the passing and loss of games like these classic Capcom fighting games like Power Stone, Capcom versus SNK 2, Marvel versus Capcom, you know, CVS 2, all this shit, Rival Schools. And quite literally in this episode, we're talking about all those games are out now. Like all this
back
shit
to life
we had been screaming about and hoping that it could return in some way, that all these old franchises that people could still care about, that all happened. Like, so that's kind of nuts to me that like we literally watched Marvel versus Capcom return from its grave, like live and in front of us, and we got to talk a whole bunch about it. Because
I mean, if you look at our episode list, our fourth episode was which fighting franchise should return 3 years ago, and
Ruby
the thumbnail
Heart, right
has
in the
Ruby
middle.
Heart, Killer Instinct, right? And look at that, KI Gold is back.
And to be completely honest, KI Gold is back now, and we also saw KI 2013 come back in a relatively big way with the anniversary. That happened, like, which is nuts. So
Fatal Fury came back, Virtua Fighter came back.
Virtua Fighter came back.
every major, I feel like, franchise is like came back. What's like left? It's just Bloody Roar, right? That's the only one really left. Right?
There's Go ahead, Matt.
I was just going to say quickly, of a franchise of significance that has like 4, like maybe even more entries technically, I think that's the one, but I think there's one that we might have mentioned this before and Max had an answer. Like there's something else that we're just always forgetting, right? That has like multiple entries that has not come back
yet.
The
eternal battle to get Soul Calibur to come back has begun.
Yeah.
That's where we're at right now. Getting Soul Calibur to return in some way, showing that there can be an audience for that. And I think the eternal battle of
Switch to online GameCube. It happened.
It's a start. Soul Calibur 2's back. We got Link, it's a start, dude.
It is a start.
That's where my brain is at, where it's like, if I can show how much Soul Calibur means to people, then I'll be the champion of that goddamn game. In the same way that I feel that Killer Instinct also needs a champion right now. KI Classics are back. We're showing that KI gives a shit. KI Gold, KI Definitive, KI Anniversary. But like, that's not what we want, dude. Like, we want a new Killer Instinct. Like, we want KI Microsoft to pay attention to fighting games again.
KI 2026.
Yeah, like that's the plan. So to me, it's like, most things, dreams came true, But at the same point, there are still some fights to be fought out there.
I'm looking at canceled fighting games, and it's pretty funny to see the main boss of Tattoo Assassins in it, because one of the announcements that was done over Evo Japan weekend is that EX Arcadia is bringing back Tattoo Assassins.
Yeah, they're bringing that back, and I believe Rabbit. Right,
Rabbit too.
Rabbit's coming back. So
Guile Winquo, cracking one off hard.
EX Arcadia, they're like, I know the guy personally, and his whole thing is like, he just wants to bring back games that are like not available anymore. Can
he bring them back to consoles though?
So that's the problem. He's an arcade business. He's an arcade business, right? So he just only has arcade cabinets. He can't do console.
But then after a little bit, after the arcades have kind of made their money, can you then maybe put them on consoles?
Okay, how about this, Matt? I actually have an arcade EX Arcadia like board. He gave me one, so I brought it back from Japan to America. All I need is the cartridge, and I could play all these games that you want. So I that's all I need is the cartridge from him. But I have the actual the super gun itself.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. But it's just like people would want to play Tattoo Assassins on their consoles. Like,
bro, I mean, he has the
yearn.
He has the updated Breaker's Revenge, and you can't play that updated Breaker's Revenge even on the Breaker's Collection. You can only play it on EX Arcadia.
Yeah. The version of Samurai Showdown 5. Yeah, 5 special that they have is the actual only fully complete version that has every single feature and then like some new things on top of it, like little presentational things, but that's like the only version of it because every home port got butchered, and not butchered, but every home port had to leave something out in some way or whatever. So
I got a question for you guys as we are this is the end, our official end, but not the actual end, because we talked about meeting back up together and talking about things post Evo. If there's a bunch of announcements, if there's new games we played, we can get back together and always just do something and throw up a video.
Yeah, like a one-off,
So that's a thing that will happen in the future. This isn't the absolute, star death, the heat death of this show. Like, there might be an episode that pops up every once in a while, so don't unsubscribe from the channel. But as we, pass along and move forward into this like new generation of fighting games and stuff like that, where we're all busy and doing stuff, I want to ask you guys what you want to see from the future of fighting games, like in terms of an individual franchise or things about them. Is there a thing that you want to see changed or different that we can move forward in like a positive light? And hopefully, do we want less guessies in fighting games? We want more fighting game purity like Fatal Fury kind of is offering right now? Do we want more guest characters, less guest characters,
I have a real basic thing and something we already talked about. We're talking about NetherRealm. Sorry. I think take a break from a fighting game franchise for a little bit.
That's a good
I'm not
wish.
saying 10 I'm not saying 10 years. I'm saying like when I wanted to play Mortal Kombat 11 and Mortal Kombat 11 didn't exist, I wanted to play it real bad because there was no new Mortal Kombat, wasn't even announced, but we had Injustice 2. And it's like always taking some time in between games. And I'm talking like 5 years at most. It's like that break makes me want to play the games more. And I kind of feel like it depends on the franchise, obviously, but like we've had a constant run of Street Fighter since 2009, right? Like as soon as a new one ends, a new one is announced. Like it's never more than like 2 years now. And I'm just kind of like, no, just let me like get that like drive to, and I miss the franchise. And Soul Calibur, it's like I got it bad now. I want that to come back. And I think like and Tekken is the same way too. Between arcade versions and console versions and things happening, there's always Tekken. And I kind of get a little burned out every so often on stuff, especially with the amount of other games I cover regularly on my channel and stuff. So it's like, that would be something nice. And again, I'm not saying go away. I'm just saying like take
something else.
Little break, do something different.
That's
like,
why
maybe,
even I don't like the idea of an Injustice 3 because it could be so thematically and gameplay similar to 2 and 1. But if they had a different approach to an Injustice 3, like a superhero fighting game, than what Injustice 2 is, then yeah, I would be super down. Like, I want to try a different game like that.
I would even like a non-fighting game from NetherRealm.
Yes.
It can even be a Mortal Kombat game. Just do a Shaolin Monks, whatever. or
Sub-Zero Mythologies, the run back?
Yeah.
100%. Shaolin Monks with like gear and upgrades and multiple characters and all that shit. It'd be amazing.
And then you bring the fighting game back when people want the fighting game back. So, because there's more fighting games than ever. And I'm glad, very glad that now is still way more healthy than in 2011, 2012, when it seemed like the entire fighting game genre kind of imploded a little bit, where it's like, whoa, there's too many things. And now it seems like it's in a better place. But that's the one that jumps to my head immediately because a lot of things I know are set in stone. You're not going to get less DLC. You're probably going to get more DLC. Do I want that necessarily? Maybe not, but I mean, I still want to support a game over its life, and the only way you can really do that is with DLC. So that's something unrealistic that I think is not going to go away anytime
How about you,
soon.
Justin?
It's a tough one. This might be a bad take, but I don't want
Marvel.
I don't want as much new fighting games to come out. The reason
that's similar to me.
The reason why is just like, obviously you have your big boys like Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, Virtua Fighter coming soon. The problem is like I just don't want these new fighting games to come out just not to have a chance. I don't want them to become a Discord fighter, right? Kind of like how DNF Duel became. I'm worried about Hunter x Hunter might be a similar situation where it just might be like, oh, it's cool for like 1 week and then just done after that because Street Fighter 6 and Fatal Fury or like Tekken 8 are just doing, even Fatal Fury is doing really bad right now when you look at like kind of like stream number wise and kind of popularity on like YouTube and everything. I just don't want the new fighting games to die because there's just way too much fighting game content.
I think you want more forever fighting games.
Yeah, I want more forever fighting games. And if I had to choose, because we're on NRS, just give us back give us a Mortal Kombat collection that's kind of similar to like the Marvel collection.
And that's what I'm going to say too.
Good online. So because I feel like Mortal Kombat 2, Ultimate MK3, those are forever fighting games when it comes to Mortal Kombat, right? So good. So I just want to play some old fighting games that I don't have to be sus about, like because I'm using like random platforms and there's the only way to play them. And even then I'm just like, can there just be an official one where I could just like log on Steam or whatever console and just go rank match and then sets me up? Like give me something like that, like how the Capcom collections are doing. Like, that's all I want.
It's been a long time since we've been jamming on Null DC Bear in order to get CVS 2 and Marvel 2 matches and stuff now, like we come a long way on the Capcom end.
Yeah, for sure. So I just want to see that for Mortal Kombat because like, man, like I feel like so many people would just play the crap out of Mortal Kombat 2
Like-
and Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, for example.
Yeah.
Like if there's going to be a break between Mortal Kombat games, you know what a good thing to tide people over is? A decent collection.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
just have that be out there to keep
100%.
the franchise's name out there. Same thing for all of Namco's games. There should be a Tekken collection. There
Yep.
should be a Soul Calibur collection.
So I'm glad you're on board because you guys mentioned the first thing I was going to say. I got a couple, and it's like, yes, can we get like actual collections of games that have like never been distributed or very limited times been distributed, which is MK, Tekken, and Soul Calibur. What the hell, you know? And you can also throw in like Bloody Roars and stuff like that. A Bloody Roar collection would be
Virtua
really
Fighter
cool.
as well.
But that, like, even Virtua Fighter, yeah, getting like a proper collection of older games, having older fighting games preserved and given fully functional online, like that can allow people to enjoy them at any point, you know, that at anywhere, you know. So yeah, that's a big one for me because we've gotten pretty much almost all of our dreams come true from the Capcom end of this perspective, which feels so good for that stuff to come back that we want to feel better for these other companies that seem to just ignore this shit. So. Yeah, I will always be screaming that to the heavens. And I was talking about this with my chat the other day about all the teases for a potential, you know, tinfoil hat teases for a potential new Marvel versus Capcom in the latest MVC collection update, right?
Here we go.
And I saw, I'm not talking about just about, oh, I want Marvel 4 because who doesn't want Marvel versus Capcom 4 in the future? I proposed to you a concept that I was talking to my chat about. Tag team fighting games haven't changed since Marvel 2. Like, every game is just a Marvel 2 like, or a 2v2, like a Marvel vs. Capcom 1 like. Dragon Ball FighterZ, like Marvel 3, to be real, it's just kind of like a sequel to Marvel 2, a 3v3 game with assists, you know? Dragon Ball FighterZ, the same thing, but you just can do a little bit more with those assists, you know, and you have Super Dash and shit. These games foundationally are the same shit. Justin and Matthew, do you guys remember the feeling of going into an arcade and seeing Marvel vs. Capcom 2 for the first time, seeing 3 characters on each team and going, what the fuck? Like,
I distinctly remember
that's
this.
Well, like your brain just cannot even process what is happening. And then you play it and it just sort of works. And you're like, oh man, I guess it is possible. Like, so that's what I'm saying, that like the majority of tag games, we've seen a lot of 2v2 tag games where they're in development right now. We got Hunter x Hunter, all these like 3v3 games, like all this stuff exists, but they still feel like they are all iterative of like MVC 1, MVC 2, you know?
Yeah.
They're all in that same space still. Even Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite was trying, but it was still in the same like, yeah, we're going backwards a little bit, you know? We don't want to go too far forward. That might be too crazy. Brother, I want a fighting game that makes my brain go, what the fuck? Like, what, how do you even, what is this shit? That looks so fun, but so crazy. Like, that was feelings that we had back in the day.
I don't know if this will blow your mind, but like still one of my favorite tag concepts is in one game, and that's Kazuna Encounter, and that's get to your tag zone. That's the only place where you can tag.
Weird shit.
Like, dude, the tag zone rules.
That's all I'm saying is that conceptually, a lot of like tag team games and a lot of fighting games that we play nowadays are very much in an old school mindset, where they kind of play it safe with how they work and function. Street Fighter 6 is very much an expanded Street Fighter 5 in many ways. And now we're starting to see the paint thin in that situation. People want some shakeup because a lot of the options sort of boil down to a similar situation, similar shimmies and shit. And most other fighting games are kind of like the same thing, where it's like, this is pretty safe, you know, in terms of how this game works. I want to see another dev come out, because the last time my brain just went like, whoa, like you could do that. That's whoa. Games don't do that, was KI 2013. And the reason behind that was because it was people that don't normally make fighting games. And they're like, we got some weird ideas. We want to try some weird shit.
double helix.
It was old school double helix, creating the foundation that moved into Iron Galaxy, creating a weird foundation for fighting games that was like not traditional. This doesn't line up with the normal way we play this shit. So that's kind of what I'm the most excited for. I want to see a game that just blows my fucking mind. Like, whoa, dude, like what can you do in this shit?
And then even in MK1, it's like, hey, look at this. This is very new for the franchise, but it wasn't done the most elegantly it could have at all.
That
and
game's a diet MVC1.
2v2. Yeah.
It's pretty much a diet MVC1. You know, it's like MK1 seems like it could have been really cool, but it effectively was MVC1 PlayStation 1 version. where like you choose the assist and you're just one character, and it's like
one character. Yep.
So again, it's a cool concept, but it's effectively pulling off all ideas.
You know what the actual last game that you remember that blew your mind that had tag options was just when you have Street Fighter EX3 and you're able to have all 4 players.
This gets crazy.
Bring that game back.
Yeah, and like to be real, like MVCI with like full free tagging at any time was pretty mind blowing, but it came at a big cost. Dude, the rest of the game is stifled. Like we can't do 3v3 with free tag. That's too crazy. That's too many ideas. So anyway, all I'm saying is that like Marvel 4 was floating in my head, and I'm like, 4 characters versus 4 characters. Like
Marvel 4.
That's a bit too much.
Like it's too much. Like that's the thing where it's like, what game are we gonna eventually get that actually pushes the limits of what we think is even possible?
No, could it work with 3 characters and a striker?
Who knows?
Or some yeah.
It needs to be something like that enhances and moves shit forward significantly. Like this is way different than the previous game. I love Marvel 3. Who doesn't love Marvel 3? But it is Marvel versus Capcom 2 with more mechanics for the most part, right?
It's just that it was so like years and years after it that it was fine that it was just Marvel 3.
Yeah.
Like it was just Marvel 2 rather.
Yeah.
So that works for that, but that's why maybe Infinite also didn't do as well, because it was like didn't feel like an expansion in a lot of people's mind. Yeah, it
felt like a regression,
downgrade, and so as a Marvel player, Justin, do you feel similarly? Like, do you always yearn for Marvel 2, or would you rather see a tag team fighter shakeup?
I mean, I always like new ideas. I'm a big fan of just new fighting game content or new fighting game like ways of play fighting games. Like when you think about DLCs or whatever, that's usually my main character. When I'm like kind of like done with a game, I'm like, yeah, I main DLC. So I just like having shakeups in particular. So I would be down for a 4v4, but I feel like it's just a little bit too much. I don't know how they'll make it 4v4. Like the only way I could think of is like 3v3, but the 4th is like your assist.
Sure.
Like your super assist or whatever. Kind of like how Marvel Infinite, you were able to activate like your gems and everything like that. That's the only thing I can think of.
We're not even conceptualizing shit right now, but just like during our conversation of this, and when I was talking to my chat about this idea that like shit really hasn't changed in a very long time. I'm like, dude, what if you could have like, it's a problem. 4 characters. You can't learn 4 characters, man. This is a pain in the ass.
That's too much. Yeah.
What if you could turn one into a hero character and have like 3 supporters or some crazy shit?
Oh,
what if you had options?
Like King of Fighters 2001.
Like KOF, yes, exactly. Like
2001.
old crazy tag team KOFs. Like what Skullgirls kind of does with like free choosing of shit. Skullgirls is essentially CVS2 ratio, but it lets you pick. Like it gives you the option. That's why I like Skullgirls, because Skullgirls is the one tag game that I feel like actually really evolved what MVC2 could be. Yeah. So it's they really tried. They were going in a weird direction with the way you play that game. So anyway, that's all I'm saying. Like the idea of like even MVC2 existing and like 3 characters versus 3 characters before that game was out, you'd be like, that's stupid. Like new ideas sound stupid. New concepts sound alien and weird, and you immediately don't accept it until you see it and it works, and it's like, oh fuck, you know?
I got it. 2 members on your team, right? At the bottom of the screen, there's, I don't know, let's call them jewels. And these jewels give you buffs, and you have to buy these jewels as DLC.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
He's a genius. Nothing bad can happen. It's perfect.
Nothing bad. That's perfect.
We won't. Somebody's telling me that it's really bad and it's stupid. Let's ignore that man. Ignore that man.
I could just see it now. Auto guard. You know, you could get the auto guard jewel.
Auto throw tech gem.
Auto throw tech jewel.
That's so smart,
that sounds
bro.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
To be completely serious, when Cross Tekken came out and they showed all this crazy shit, I was like, that's insane. That like jewels, I'm like, gems, I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But I was like, all this stuff, this has to be good.
Nah.
Right? Like,
the impression was this is either going to be incredible or it's really going to fucking suck.
Yeah.
And even towards the end of it, it was still like there was something there when they did the update to it. Like there was something there like, oh, well, like maybe this could have been like a really cool tag thing. And there was cool tag mechanics. It just was buried under Cross Tekken, you know? So,
yeah.
Oh, well, the good news is that we'll be back. You know, we have our respective channels. We've been doing our respective things for a very long time. We'll just keep doing that, and we'll keep communicating with each other, and we'll be going to events and shit of that nature. So stay tuned to Triple KO. Stay subscribed. We'll be back eventually. You know,
if big news happens, definitely check the channel.
And we're gonna have to yap about something, bro.
After Evo happens, going to be there when KI 2026 is announced.
or even summer Game Fest in a few.
Please God,
few weeks, right?
Yeah, there might be something there, but I have to give a big thanks to all our guests, all our editors have worked on it over the years. Obviously, the hardest working member of Triple KO, Guile Winquote. Thank you so much for all your contributions.